Welcome to Whiskey and Whitetails, the show for those who hunt with passion and drink with a purpose. We are your host. I'm Gus.
I'm Matt.
And as always, we want to give a huge thank you to our Patreon members for their loyal support and always being there for us and helping us out along the way, executive producing and such. Another shout out to Waypoint Network for having us, and a big thank you for listening, subscribing, sharing, and all the stuff that you guys do on social media and YouTube and all that great stuff. We greatly appreciate it. This week, we decided to shoot some questions and probe ChatGPT on some topics related to hunting out of tree saddles. And we're going to fact check a little bit, see what it has to say. So make sure you stick around.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
We in here.
We in here.
I've got to figure out where that echo is coming from. It's just driving me crazy.
I still don't hear it.
It's coming on my end somewhere. It's strange.
Do you have a busy day? Busy week?
Yeah, it's been a busy week. Just busy. Yeah. Reorganized my garage just top to bottom. I got a new 52-inch wide like chest, and then the top part for the Craftsman toolbox. So I reorganized tools and got everything that's been sitting in totes and stuff for a year and a half now since we moved. Got the garage, but freed up a bunch of space, which was nice. And yeah, so I spent 2 days doing all that stuff, and yeah, been busy, but it's been good.
Well, that's fun. Just a reminder to everybody, today is National Compliment Your Mirror Day, July 3rd.
Your mirror?
Yeah. So if you haven't complimented your mirror today, how do I want to do this? Maybe like that. If you haven't complimented your mirror today, you should do that.
Is that some offhand way of like telling you to compliment yourself?
I believe so. I think that was the intention there.
I see.
I'm gonna try out autofocus, see how that does.
I tell myself I am compliment myself all the time, so it's that every day here at my house.
That's the dealio. Cool.
I got caught up on Righteous Gemstones. I was pretty bummed that we filmed for 3 days and maybe 15 seconds worth of what we filmed was in that episode. Well, actually, your scene in the dining hall was the longest from that entire weekend, I think.
What's going on up here?
That's first time with a camera.
Jeez. Yeah. It was crazy. What sucks about it is like I had like a small viewing party. So I had like the neighbors over.
Yeah.
Right eventually. There we go. And yeah, so we were all excited, had some drinks, and I was like, oh, here it is. They're getting ready to show up. And so they show them like driving down the walkway, and I'm like, here it goes any second. And what's crazy is that huge gate they built.
Yeah.
Like it had a huge wheel on it where the guy was. Oh, yeah. By the way, here's our background of the week is some wild turkey bottles.
Yeah. Nice.
But they had that huge gate. So the guy was turning it with his hand, and he was an actual like paid member of the staff. So I thought for sure his name was Bubbles. I thought for sure he was going to be in it.
Yeah.
And
it was just that gate. Like that entire road was decorated, and they had all kinds of stuff up. The guys skinning deer and all kinds of stuff.
There were hundreds of people out there, and they showed like 12, which is crazy to think that like the budget must be just insane.
So actually, it's not that. So I talked to somebody that works in film, and they said that especially in television today, you have to get so much out in such a short turnaround time, and it's so cheap to film now that you can afford to just shoot, capture all the things. That sounds like a good idea. Let's do that 5 times, and then we'll figure it out in post. And that's just the approach they take. And so they'll spend a week recording, and then maybe not even use any of that week.
Yeah. Oh no, it was quite shocking. Like it just blows me away. They would build that huge gate, and then the gate they used was just like a regular, like you go to a parade, those metal gates at parades. That was the gate they chose as the actual entry point instead of. But thinking about it, like I mean, there was only a 5-minute episode, so for them to raise that gate, that's precious seconds. I'm guessing that they just were like, it takes too much time.
The other thing is, if you've watched the show, before each episode, they play a primer that sort of recaps previous seasons. I imagine they'll reach back and use some of that footage, from those episodes, from to show little fillers, so maybe some of the other stuff will make it in, but
Yeah. I just I didn't think about that because everybody's like, oh, well, they'll just use it, in other episodes. Like they won't, because when we were there, they said they were filming episode 2. So
yeah.
that's it. So it's not, they're not going to do flashbacks. Plus, if you watch the show, they kicked them out. They kicked us out, so they're not going to come back.
No, but I mean, I guess they could do the characters could have flashbacks to that time or those scenarios, but I don't know how much it would really lend to the story.
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. We had fun doing
I
it.
was really hoping that they were going to. The only thing I really cared to see was you and Robert Oberst eat shit.
Oh, dude, I can't believe that wasn't in there either. That was a real fall, and he fell on top of me and broke my thumb.
What'd you say?
He pulled the tendon in my thumb,
Yeah,
I still can't push it any further than that. Like, it still hurts.
that's wild, man.
We sip it on double up.
Yeah, Peerless Double Oak.
Nice.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Gibby's Heaven's Door.
Heaven's Door. I was gonna say it looks like Heaven's Door bottle.
113 proofs.
When did you do that one? That's not the one from a couple years ago, is it?
It might be. I don't know. I have so much stuff, and as I empty things, I open up new ones.
Yeah, it got better as I drank it.
Yeah. Little palate drift.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Look at me winning.
Look at me winning.
All right. Yeah. So for those that don't know, we work in IT and during our daily duties. And then at night we do podcasting with Whitetail stuff. So we have been using a form of machine learning off and on for years, I would say, right? I know.
Yeah, for sure.
Your autofocus seems to work better than mine. Mine just is always like.
I have it on manual focus. I just got to get my head in the right spot for it to lock in.
There you go. But so when ChatGPT came out, we were both, super intrigued because we already know what machine learning will do and how quick it works. And so we've used it for some stuff with the company. We've used it for some stuff, just trying to learn stuff. I mean, there's no shortage of applications for it. And so we wanted to kind of like do some fact checking, because we know with the whiskey stuff, it's usually a pretty binary, bland statement, just like, this is the facts about whiskey. So we were like, well, how about not a new technology? Saddle hunting's been around forever, but like as an emerging technology. And so you did some behind the scenes looking and asked it some questions.
Yeah. So I asked it to basically act as an expert in that field and provide me some tips on some different things. And I asked it some follow-up questions, kind of asked one question the same way twice to see if it would give something kind of different. And yeah, it's interesting. I think it'd be fun to talk about. So I will share my screen.
Let me pull it up because I got it to work now. Only
cool.
because of the way the audio downloads. I don't want to.
Okay.
Let's see. Share. Nice. I'll zoom in a little bit.
Can you hear my dog barking?
Nope.
Oh, great. That's perfect.
All right. So this is what you asked at your first question there.
Yeah, and I was short with, but like ideally, there's kind of a format that I found that works really well, and it's like 4 or 5 sentences, and it's you kind of ask it what you want it to act as an expert in, how you want it to provide the answers, to leave out unnecessarily any unnecessary facts, yada yada yada, and you give it very pointed instructions, and it will follow them pretty well. But the first thing I asked it was to give us some things for someone who is new, 5 things for a whitetail deer hunter that needs to consider when purchasing a tree saddle for the first time. Because this will be my case this year. I'm buying a saddle this year for the first time. You hunted it for the first time last year. I was still kind of a little hesitant, wanted to see how everybody else did. So I was like, well, let's see what ChatGPT says. And this is what it came up with.
And we'll have to read it still because of audio listeners.
Yep. So the very first one, it said, the first of the five is, it said comfort and safety was the first consideration. It said comfort should be a first priority. Look for a saddle with adequate padding, adequate straps for a snug fit. Check the safety harness system that meets or exceeds industry safety standards. Pretty boilerplate stuff for any sort of tree stand or tree saddle, hang on stand, climbing stand. It's all pretty much the same, right? Like, it needs to be comfortable and safe because you're going to be in it for a long time. Um, I didn't really see anything special about that. I thought it was, it's an accurate answer. It's like I said, pretty boilerplate.
Yeah, wherever it pulled that from is probably pretty universal.
Yeah, weight and portability also, I think, pretty straightforward for saddle hunt. That's half the reason I think most people go to it, and transition to saddle hunting, is because they want that, um, more lightweight option, the versatility that comes with not having to carry a climber and too much other equipment. Um, it says since saddles are designed for mobile hunting, it's crucial to choose a lightweight and portable option. Opt for a saddle that is easy to carry and doesn't add excessive weight to your hunting gear. Consider the material used, as lightweight and durable fabrics are ideal.
And while that's a pretty basic sentence, it's stating a lot there as someone that has been saddle hunting for the last season. I mean, because some of the gear is noisy, some of it is heavy when you start. I mean, the saddle itself is light, but then you add a platform and climbing sticks and it all adds up. And so it talks about the durable fabrics are ideal, but also, I mean, you have to consider the fact that they're going to make noise. So maybe you're adding sound dampening covering to them. Maybe you get the drilled out aluminum versions that are lighter than the steel versions. There's a lot to look at.
Yep. Yep. The next one is versatility and adjustability. So basically, it just says, look for a tree saddle that allows you to, adapt to different hunting conditions, larger trees, smaller trees. Make sure that you have enough straps and, um, customizing options to fit the environment that you're hunting in, with different trees and tree types that you're hunting. Again, pretty straightforward, but also very accurate. Um, for durability and quality, investing in a durable, high quality tree saddle is crucial for long term use. Look for reinforced stitching, robust materials, and reliable hardware that can withstand the rigors of hunting environment. Durability is particularly important given the wear and tear that can occur while moving through dense woods or sitting for extended periods. This is the one thing that concerns me the most, is durability. If I'm going to be hanging from a saddle and some rope, I want those materials to be durable. I want to know that they're not wearing somewhere that's going to end up being a single point of failure in that system. So I think this is, again, while it's sort of vague and straightforward, like you said about the other one, it is saying a lot.
Yeah, the for me getting out there, the material I wasn't super worried about. It seemed, double stitched, triple stitched, or whatever. But looking at some of the ropes, how the ropes are, because loops are not loops; they're tied on. So they tie them on and they stitch them, and then they coat them in this plastic. I don't know the good terms for them, but they're rigging ropes. But
Yeah.
inside that plastic, you can see where some guy has signed it.
Oh, wow.
It's like I did this, so it gives you a little more. I don't know. You almost kind of want to trust a machine more than a human, but also machines can screw up, but also humans can screw up.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, I had to echo again. It's kind of like, a you got to find the balance, right? There's a machine called the Da Vinci machine that can do, heart surgery with a trained doctor behind the controls, because the movements are more precise and less shaking, less room for error, but also like a human could do the same surgery. So which do you trust? The machine could screw up too at some point and just start jabbing. Who knows? I don't know. Anyways,
Oh yeah.
number five, number five, user friendly and ease of setup. So, um, I think this is important, but like, it says user friendly tree saddle will enhance your hunting experience. Choose a saddle it's easy to set up, adjust in the field. Quick connect buckles, intuitive design, clear instructions can significantly reduce setup time and frustration during your hunting trips. There is nothing more annoying than carrying a climber and getting to a stand and spending 15 minutes getting everything set up, and it being cumbersome and a pain in the ass to use. Not to mention, um, I find in most equipment, the simpler it is, usually the more safe it is. The fewer points of failure there are, the fewer, the fewer things can go wrong or not work properly. So I think it's really, being user friendly and being easy to set up will also lend to it being safer.
For sure. The big part about that for using it is I use the knot setup just because I trust the knots more than I trust another mechanical piece. But most people don't use the knots. They use those easy sliders that, like rock climbers use. And I think that might be something that I venture into this year and getting away from the knots.
Hmm.
But I am glad that I did a whole season with the knots because they're a pain in the ass, but I know for a fact they're not going to slip, and so
Yeah,
that part's pretty cool. But the quick connect stuff is easy, and just knowing your setup and being able to walk out there. That's one of the biggest things I learned because it's a new thing to do. So the first time you do it, it's going to be frustrating. Second time you do it, you're going to be a little more frustrated. And then you're like, I'm never going to get. And then third or fourth time, you're like, oh, okay, this is pretty easy.
that's
I wear the saddle out, hook my lineman's rope, start putting climbing sticks up, and just move on up.
is it fairly comfortable to walk in? I feel like you're walking with a diaper on.
I mean, it's more comfortable without it, but it's not
Yeah.
terrible.
Well, it's actually a good segue into the next question I asked. So, um, if you scroll down, I told it thank you. I don't know
Yeah,
why, but
great, thanks.
yeah, but it was like, hey, you're welcome. I'm glad to assist you if you have any more questions. You need more feedback, and it said happy hunting, which I thought was funny
That
because
is funny.
in a lot of like I saw where someone asked for tips on like how to make a bomb, and it was like I can't give you that information, and then they said, well, what what materials would I need to avoid mixing to avoid making a bomb? And it basically gave the exact ingredients. Um, and it's also, been people have shown it's been known to sometimes lean a little more to the liberal side of things. So I was curious what kind of, if it was going to have an issue with hunting. And so far it hasn't. But you talked about practicing, and I asked it. I said, can you provide 5 tips for the first time tree saddle hunter to help ensure they have a comfortable and successful hunt? The very first one, it says, practice and familiarize yourself. So, like you just said, get yourself familiar with the equipment, practice using it, find a tree in the backyard or, head out to the state park or somewhere where you can do it and get familiar with how the equipment works, how you want to have it set up. Where do you want to have stuff stored in your bag? Where do you want to have stuff? Are you going to have pouches on your, attached to your bag to your, saddle for stuff, and how do you want to have that configured? Because um just like I'm sure law enforcement and military, you get used to having things in a certain place, and that becomes part of your routine. You know exactly where it's at, and so if it's dark, whether you're coming up or down, you know exactly where that is by muscle memory, and that can not only save you time but probably help you from injuring yourself.
For sure.
What's the next one say here?
Choose the right tree.
Choose the right tree. Yeah. So you could probably talk a little bit more about this than me, but I mean, in order to have a successful hunt and be comfortable, picking the right tree size is important, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it brings up good points. It says selecting the right tree is essential for a comfortable and effective hunt. Look for a healthy, sturdy tree with minimal branches and a suitable diameter for your saddle. Avoid trees with excessive leaning or visible damage. Prioritize concealment and consider the wind direction to maximize your chance of a successful hunt. Which is one great thing about saddle hunting is if you have a tree stand up, and the wind's not in your favor, you can't let that stand. I mean, you can, just not going to do anything. But yeah, a sturdy tree for sure. I don't really like pine trees because they're full of bugs. That being said, pine trees are way easier to secure everything to.
Yeah.
So, a good sturdy oak tree that's not super wide at the bottom. Like we have these beech trees out here, or the pin oaks that you can pretty much get in there. And another thing that I've always wanted to do is the Indian style. So you would climb up to a branch kind of, and the branch would be your seat or your platform.
Mm,
That's something I'm going to try out in the national forest this year because I've already got a spot picked out that I want to do it at.
cool.
But yeah, you definitely want to avoid trees with the leaning. And if you do get a leaning tree that leans a little bit, you're going to want to be on the backside of that lean because otherwise it's super frustrating trying to stay there. And I use the tree as kind of like a blind. So whichever direction I'm hunting, I'm behind it. So I can
Yes.
look around, both sides of the tree.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So
mm,
go ahead.
turn that off.
Uh,
But yeah,
so number 3 says, optimize safety. Of course, anything you can do to to make it as safe as possible. So ensure you're properly harnessed and connected to the tree during using a reliable safety harness. Kind of stuff he's already, he's already touched on. Being familiar with your gear, making sure it works properly, making sure you're using stuff that is meant um, for your setup. Some of the manufacturers make certain pieces of kit that are designed to work a certain way um, with their saddle, and trying to move those back and forth, just may not work great. And you may find yourself with, compromised piece of equipment, which wouldn't be a good thing. Um, and it says stay mobile and be observant. What'd you say?
Nothing. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, stay mobile and be observant. One of the advantages of using a tree saddle is mobility. You can probably talk more about that than I can. I know it took a while to get used to, but um, it actually gives some some points here on deer movement patterns and signs.
Which is pretty fascinating that it actually goes that deep.
Yeah.
Adjusting your position. Yeah. Changing wind directions. Remain patient and observant while hunting, as deer behavior can vary throughout the day.
Yep. And then the last one is, pretty self-explanatory. Dress for the conditions. That's whether you're going outside to mow the lawn or sit all day or going for a hike. Dress appropriately. It's a surefire way to ruin your weekend or your day, or
Yeah.
die.
Or dies. Yeah.
Well, we talked to we talked to the scouts, and we talk when we're teaching wilderness survival, and there's a story that we read. It's a true story. Um, about these two guys that went on was supposed to be a quick hike, kind of up to a kind of a ridge point and back down. And they got up, and a storm blew through and dropped the temperatures really, really low. They did not bring sufficient gear or even a jacket or a raincoat. They got lost. They had to hunker down to get out of the storm. Night came. It was a big mess. Long story short, one of the guys died, and the other one barely survived.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, but it happens. So
For sure. I like the end of it here too. Remember, experience and time spent in the field will contribute to your success as a tree saddle hunter. Learning from each hunting trip and continuously honing your skills will improve your comfort and effectiveness. Enjoy the adventures and best of luck on your hunts.
sounds like something out of a manufacturer's manual.
I know it does.
Probably
It almost
is.
makes you wonder. Yeah, it probably pulled it from some kind of saddle hunting manufacturer. I wonder if you were to Google that exact statement. Let's see. See if it comes up somewhere. Nope.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it actually pulled that out of its machine ass.
Artificial ass.
Yeah.
So actually the next question, kind of the same question, but in a different way. I just say, can you provide 5 tips for staying comfortable in a tree saddle hunting for long hunts? It says, invest in quality padding. I wasn't sure what it meant by that. And I guess maybe I know you can buy padding to go on the trees or your knees.
Yeah, for the knees for sure. So what I use is my ruck or my bag that I'm bringing in.
Mhm.
I will put that in between me and the tree on top of my platform. So when I get down, I'll put my knees into that because wearing knee pads would probably be the best bet. But it's just one more thing on your legs, and it's
Yeah.
hot.
Oh yeah, that too. Utilize a suspension relief system. I don't know much about those. I understand what they are, but I'm assuming that is for just, I don't know, alleviating some of the discomfort as you're trying to stand, or I think that's the whole point, right, of a saddle, is you can adjust it to put more weight on or off your legs on its own, right?
Um, yeah, more or less. It's like a shock that you can put under your feet.
Okay.
So it's like, but it'd be, I don't know, I don't know how you would do that unless you ran it on the line, like on the line that you're actually hooked to. That way you're not just stuck to a solid cable.
Yeah.
But I don't know, unless they're talking about like the hunter safety one.
Yeah. I'm not sure.
Because I know
Um,
that like there's what's the name of that company, Falltech.
mhm.
Let me look. There's a company, yeah. Let's see. I don't know. We may have to add that in at another time. That's a rabbit hole I'm not going down.
Okay, then.
Yeah, I believe it's just I think Falltech makes one for just allowing a little bit of shock as opposed to just the sturdiness of a rope, but
Yeah. Yeah.
it doesn't really bother me.
Okay. Let's see. The next one says take regular stretch breaks. I guess maybe for all day sit that applies for any stand or any any type of hunting, if you're gonna do an all day sit, especially, it's good to take 20, 30 minutes, get out of the stand, sit at the base of the tree, have a snack, stretch. It's just good for you. But have you done any long sits in a saddle yet?
I have, and what I end up doing is switching between knees on the tree, standing and leaning back, and then I will get in close and saddle the tree with the tree between my legs.
Yeah.
But there's so many different ways you can stand. So you can stand up straight, you can lean back on the platform, you can lean to the side. You can pretty much walk all the way around the tree if you
Yeah.
have your stick set up in the right way.
So
So
sounds like you're describing how to do the cha-cha slide.
that's yeah. I don't know the cha cha slide, but
Hands on your knees and slide to the left. Slide
yeah,
to
there you go. That's exactly it.
the
That's a YouTube video.
yeah, no shit. Use portable back support. Did your system have like an add-on for back
It
support?
does.
Yeah. I
It's
seen
literally
some.
just a strap.
Oh, is it really? That's it. I wasn't sure how intricate they got. It's fun. It's funny to go back a few years ago and see what people were using and what these companies are putting out now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a strap. It goes like I put it under my arms and it just comes off my chest into the rope.
Hmm.
That way, but also my saddle, it has folds in it, so you can pull it up like kind of like over your love handles. And so it provides like lumbar support. It's pretty
Sick.
comfortable. I don't have any complaints with it.
Nice.
Yeah.
And the last one is stay hydrated and snack smart. I mean, that's not specific to any kind of harness or I'm sorry, saddle, but it's just a good idea in general.
Mm-hmm.
I think I only asked it one more question. Yeah, I was curious like what it would say about shooting. And so I asked it, what are some 5 things to consider or that to make sure that a hunter is able to shoot accurately from a tree saddle. So I've never shot from a tree saddle, so you'll have to give your input on whether these are accurate or not. Um, Practice shooting positions. I think that's pretty straightforward. I mean, I think
Obvious.
yeah, super obvious, right? Getting your even if you're just a few feet off the ground, just get used to drawing if shooting a bow from that position.
So it
Resting a
says it
rifle.
includes sitting, standing, and leaning positions. So yeah, you want to any shot you could be possibly using, you definitely want to practice.
Yep. Uh,
So the anchor points is actually that's a surprising point there. So that's my only true input on this. So I shot at a buck in Kentucky,
mhm,
and because of the way I was leaning back, and I used the same anchor point I always use, but my elbow was kind of pushed out, and the
mhm,
bowstring hit my elbow, and it
mhm.
launched that arrow like 20 feet over the deer's head.
I see.
So that's a pretty interesting statement for ChatGPT to say. Experiment with different anchor points because you never know. Like the way you shoot standing on the ground is not necessarily going to be the way you shoot in the tree.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
that's an interesting point.
Um, Master shooting with elevated angles. I mean, if you've ever hunted from a tree at all, I think this applies across the spectrum for shooting from any kind of elevated position. Um, Angles change, the rate with which arrows drop and bullets travel. It's not such a big deal, I don't think, with rifles, to be honest, but definitely bows. You have to, depending on what angle you're shooting at, you definitely got to take into consideration. It says shooting from an elevated position introduces a different perspective in shooting dynamics. It's crucial to become proficient at shooting from elevated angles to compensate for the trajectory and bullet drop.
Yeah.
Same with an arrow or a crossbow bolt. Spend time practicing shooting from elevated positions, understanding the sight picture, and adjusting your aim accordingly. So yeah, I mean it's spot on.
Yep. Yep.
Number 3, utilize shooting rest or supports. Yeah, I mean, it's a shooting rest or supports can significantly improve accuracy by providing a stable platform for your rifle or bow. Invest in a lightweight shooting stick, bipod, or tripod that can easily be set up in your tree saddle. These supports will help steady your aim and reduce the effects of wobbling or shaking while shooting. Do you think? Do you think it would be like what the logistics would be of having a rifle and a shooting stick in a saddle?
I'm
It says
thinking about can you even use a shooting stick with a bow?
yeah, I don't know.
I don't think you can. I mean, I guess you can. Anything's possible, but you
Mm,
can't rest it on the cam. You would have to have like, yeah. I
no,
don't.
there's no
That
way.
may be a weird point for it there. I don't know that you can use a shooting. You definitely. We should we should make buy that. That should be our April Fool's post next year. We make tripods for your compound bow. Are you tired of missing your shot? Whiskey and Whitetails has a 3-foot tripod bow mount.
Yeah.
I wouldn't bring a shooting stick. I could see you securing something to the tree, but that's one more thing to bring. I don't know that I would rifle hunt out of a saddle. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah,
I'm not
I don't
sure.
think I would.
So number 4, implement proper anchor points. We just talked about that. It says, establish consistent and repeatable anchor points that is essential for accuracy. Determine where your hand, cheek, and other body parts align when shouldering your weapon or drawing back a bow. By consistently reproducing these anchor points, you will develop a reliable and accurate shooting arm. I should have asked these questions specifically from the perspective of a bow hunter. I didn't do that. That's what I should have done differently. And then
if it gave you the same input, it still would have been wrong.
And then number 5 is know your effective range. I mean, that's solid advice for anybody shooting anything. Understanding your effective shooting range from a tree saddle, and be honest with yourself about your limitations. Consider factors such as your shooting proficiency, weapon capabilities, hunting regulations. Knowing your effective range will help you make ethical shots and avoid potentially risky or unethical shots at longer distances.
Yep.
Not bad. If you had to rank its responses for all that out of like 1 to 5, what would you give it?
1 to 5. I think I would give it a 5 minus.
5 minus?
It did pretty good. I mean, the shooting stick thing was a little weird, but I can see how it would just throw that in there.
Yeah, I didn't specify, so
I just don't see the shooting stick with the bow part. That was weird. But other than that, I think it did really good. What do you think?
no, I agree. I don't disagree at all.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like super in the woods. It's kind of like, duh. But
Yeah,
if you've never saddle hunted before, that's probably pretty good advice.
Yeah, I think if I were to give it anything less than, I think I'd probably land on a 4, honestly, just because for some of those points that were a little weird, and then it reads very much like a textbook. If it responded in a way that was maybe a little bit more human form, it would be different. But you're talking to a machine, so
it did say happy hunting.
It did say happy hunting. You know what? That bumps it up to a 5.
Yeah, there you go. I think it's pretty impressive. We see people talking shit about it all the time, but I don't know. I'm pretty blown away by its capabilities.
Yeah, and if you enjoyed this or thought this was interesting, give us some ideas, some stuff you'd like us to do, and we'll work through some of the prompts and things that we've researched, and get it to take the position of an expert in this or that field, and we'll see what it says, and we talk about it and we can pick it apart and see what it says. I don't want to turn this into a an AI analyzing podcast, but it'd be something we could be fun to do every now and then.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I like it. I think it's you see people talk down upon it, but I think it's because they're looking at it like that's not the way my Uncle Jimmy talks, and it's like, no, it's not. I mean, it's a machine, so you got to give it a little lee room there. But I think it's I'm pretty impressed with the responses. I mean, we've used it before on other things. We wouldn't keep using it if we thought it sucked.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. So
glad we went over that.
What else do we have to talk about today? Some current events.
I was going to talk. We could talk about the submarine, since that's hot news.
Sad news.
Yeah. So 22 minutes ago, the missing Titanic subcrew believed to be dead after catastrophic implosion.
Yeah, so it wasn't what you were talking about. Just run out of oxygen and peacefully sleep. They that thing imploded on them.
Well, I mean, it was pretty deep down there.
It was pretty quick, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure they felt nothing. Well, just goes to show money can't buy everything.
No. I don't know, man. They had warnings, not the passengers, the owner. Like, there were all kinds of people that had warned him and told him that the thing was not safe, that it had all kinds of issues, it had wasn't tested to certain standards. And he didn't want to hear it. 250K a pop to go down there.
Whew. It's going to cost his estate millions.
Oh my God, he's done. Like, he will have nothing left.
Well, I mean, he already is done, but
yeah, he's dead.
Yeah, we saw something earlier that said Titanic 2, rich people 0. Not to be a dick about. I mean, it's, people
Yeah,
die.
it
People die
sucks.
every day, but
That kid, that's honestly the only one I feel super bad for.
I'm not aware of the kid. I haven't really looked into that. I
Yeah,
literally
2 of
just found
them,
out about yesterday.
one of the pair was a father and son.
That sucks.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's a bummer. But the rich guy just taking people for their money, he can fuck off.
Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy that I didn't know about all the war. I don't really read the news, so I'm like looking at it now. I can see all the stuff people talking about it, but
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's wild that the creator, the designer of the Titanic died with the ship. And so did this guy.
yeah.
Like 111 years later or whatever it is in the same exact spot. It's wild that they actually found it. Like I didn't think they were even going to find this thing. I
Was it
mean,
like sonar they found it?
yeah, I think it was that or they had cameras down there and found it. Because if you take a look, like there's a couple of videos you can find that shows like kind of by scale. It's sort of just like a 3D model, and it's kind of zooms down and out and shows uh, as the ocean gets deeper, and it places like landmarks and things that we're familiar with, like in the ocean for like perspective. And it's like where that thing is at is deep as shit, man. Like it's hard to conceptualize. So it's wild they can even get things down there, to be honest with you.
Yeah. It's definitely deep. It's crazy that I couldn't even imagine wanting to go see it. I like spoiler alert, you can watch the movie Titanic and see plenty of the footage. Because that window was tiny too, and it was in the shitter. So you're sitting on the toilet, one person at a time that can look out.
Yeah,
We were talking about it a little bit this morning. It's crazy that they didn't have. It would be so simple to have a door on the top that has a floated device that'll float up to the top, like tethered with a GPS beacon, and then it's ran by a powered magnetic lock. So when the power goes out, that lock is now unlocked, and that thing would float up. It would have been so simple to put that in there.
yeah. I'm sure that there's some sort of there. I'm sure there are a dozen companies out right now that are prototyping some sort of safety
Yeah.
device to
Are you
sell.
rich and have a submarine and need want to make sure this doesn't happen to you?
Yeah, the first thing I thought of was like a box on top of it. Like you've seen those ribs, the
Mhm.
inflatable boats that like Navy SEALs and SWIC use. You know, those things go in the back of a helicopter or whatever, and they drop them in the water, and they just pull a like rip a cord, and the thing just self inflates. Like to have something like that on the top that would have enough air in it to pull that thing to the top. It doesn't seem like it'd be too high. The second you have a malfunction that indicates, you know, the cabin depressurization, boom, it goes to the top. But
Yeah.
then, I don't know how, that it could have happened in an instant. They could have had no warning and then just suddenly, boom, that's it. 'Cause I don't know if you ever seen or watched like a documentaries or like, science videos of like what happens like when something like that depressurizes and it like collapses on itself. It's pretty violent.
I'm sure it is. And I'm guessing this thing was all it was just powered. It didn't have ballast tanks to
Oh, I'm
breathe
sure
that.
that nothing like that. There's probably nothing like that. I don't know. I don't know enough about it, but
Yeah, I don't either. Here we are giving our expert opinion on something we know nothing about.
very Joe Rogan of us.
For sure. We both got some travel coming up, so because of that, we're going to be doing a couple podcasts back to back on
Yeah.
next week, next Monday, I think, Monday evening,
Tuesday.
Tuesday, and we're pretty excited about it. Both of them. One is with 10th Mountain Whiskey. They sent us a bottle. They sent us 3 bottles, which I got to get you half before then.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
But we're going to talk to them about everything they got going on. They work a lot with veterans, which we like, and they sent us some ryes. They're pretty young. They're both a year old, but we've said it a million times, age does not equal flavor. So if it tastes good,
Drink it.
I don't care how old it is.
Nope.
And then we're also going to have Leon from Reserve Bar, which we're excited about that. You're going to start seeing some stuff going on with us in Reserve Bar. We're going to plan some stuff for Veterans Day, which is a while away, but this stuff takes time. And they're trying to get me a couple things that I want for content, just like really cool, random, off the wall stuff. Nothing, not like Pappy and shit like that, but you're gonna start seeing do some more stuff with them, and we might have the ability to be selling single barrels here soon. So look forward to that if that works out, which I believe it will. We're going through the paperwork phase and getting everything set up with them. So that's exciting.
Yeah, it's
So we're
gonna be fun.
excited to talk to Lee about that. What were you saying?
I said that'll be fun.
Yeah. And then I want him to, because he does all the picks for Reserve Bar. So he's been to like probably hundreds of picks.
Yeah,
So I think it'd be cool to talk to him about some of his favorites and stories from the road, if you will.
yeah, nice.
Doing that next week. So you'd be looking forward to those couple episodes coming out over the next 2 weeks.
I think 10th Mountain also does some veteran hunting stuff as well that they're looking to talk about. So maybe some opportunity there to do some traveling.
Down with it. We love travel.
They're in Vail, Colorado, so my wife will be pissed if I go to Vail without her. That's where we went on our honeymoon, so
Right.
that'll be fun.
She should be excited. Maybe she has to take her with us.
Yeah, there you go.
She can hang out and ski while we hunt or whatever.
Yeah, she's a big skier.
Is she? Oh. Didn't know.
No.
Yeah.
Not
And
her.
then right shortly after that, I'm going to Indiana. We're gonna go hang out. I'm gonna hang out with Kyle himself,
Mhm.
one of our executive producers. He lives out there in Indiana. And I'm gonna go do a day with him, hop around some liquor stores, meet some fine folks, bring back a couple suitcases full of whiskey, I'd imagine, which I'm
Nice.
excited to. I'm gonna bring some with me too. And then I'm going to VPA for a archery event, and they have Field Ethos gear will be there. They're doing dinner on Friday. I'm not gonna be able to make that, but
Man, I'm bummed I can't make that, but I hope you have a good time and get some good content, man.
yeah, that's the plan. That is the plan. I'm gonna try and make a pretty good video with that, and I'm looking forward to hanging out with them. So I'm hoping I can get dinner with them on Saturday night, and then I got an early flight Sunday morning to get back. So it'll be another sleepless weekend.
Yeah. I'm gonna be heading to so the kids this, summertime, we got summer camps going on. So I'll be heading up to Georgia for a week and then doing some whitewater rafting and some hiking and some other stuff. So I'll try to bring the GoPro and some cameras and get some fun footage to share with everybody. Should be good.
Definitely do that. How was that peach? Was it cobbler or like a
It was just a really simple. All the ingredients is what you saw on that cutting board in the reel. It was basically just brown sugar and bourbon, a couple of other ingredients, and you just cook that down into a just a reduction. And then apparently I butchered the peaches. Uh, sorry, Mr. Jeffrey.
That's our favorite thing. For those that don't know, we're good friends with the executive chef at Miller's all day. It's a great restaurant here in Charleston. They have two locations, one conveniently on James Island where I live, and then one downtown that we take people to. But the food is amazing, and we always joke with Jeff about just being like a dick in the kitchen. And so
Yeah.
we were making hamburgers and hot dogs for Army folks, and he was like, "I'll come by and talk shit the whole time," but he didn't make it. And then so
Yeah.
he texted me later that night and was like, "Did Helen Keller cook those hamburgers?"
Yeah, and then he made fun of the peaches that, to be fair, my mom cut, but said that I was on dish from
Yeah.
now on, so I'm not even allowed to
Yeah.
cut up food,
You're
let alone.
kicked out of the kitchen.
So yeah, it was funny. It's it's good time, but yeah, it was really good, man. It's you cook the reduction down. If I could do it differently, I think I would have added I would have done the ratios differently so that the reduction came out a little more a little thicker. I added more bourbon to it than the recipe called for because I wanted more of that taste, and it came out a little thinner than I would have liked. So maybe just add some more brown sugar or honey to it to thicken it up and cook that a little longer. But yeah, I just threw the peaches in there face down and baked it for like 15 or 20 minutes, and then took that out, let it cool just a little bit so that it wouldn't completely annihilate the ice cream, and then served it with some ice cream. And it was really good. If I could do anything differently, um, and I really, I'm not a chef, so I don't know if there's anything you can do differently, but I did not like the texture of like the skin. Like it was harder than the rest of the peach. And so like it was hard to get a good bite of both the peach and because you were fighting the skin. Maybe Chef Jeff has some tips on how to properly prepare those peaches before cooking them that way so that the skin is a little easier to work with. But other than that, it was really, really good.
I can ask him Saturday morning. See what he
Oh yeah,
does.
that's right. Nice.
Yeah. I was watching. I think it's one of those cooking shows. I can't remember what it's called, but they had the guy was talking about how he got into cooking, and he went to this famous Italian restaurant or whatever, and they brought out dessert, and it was a bowl with ice in it, and it had peaches floating in the ice bowl, like a bowl of ice water, and it had peaches in it.
Yeah.
And they brought it out, and set it on the table, and he's like, "What is this? This is like just peaches and ice water." And he was like, and I took a bite of it, and I've never experienced anything like that before. Like the cold outside with the fleshy inside, and I guess it made that crunch of the skin seem like ice, maybe.
Oh wow.
And he just said it was so simple and so beautiful, and I've always wanted to try it, but I don't ever get peaches.
That's what I love about the chefs that we've had the opportunity to work with, like Jeff and the guys over at Bearcat, is that none of their stuff is super complex. It is when you get into the weeds of it, but when it's presented, it's usually very simple, and it's phenomenal. And they do a lot of preparation for the stuff, and there's a lot of science that goes into how they create those textures and everything. But it's the presentation is always very simple, and it's just always leaves you like kind of trying to figure out like how did they I cook these Brussels sprouts all the time. Like how did they make them like this?
Right? Yeah, it's never ending for me. Whenever I go to these events where like a chef's cooking this crazy meal,
Mhm.
and I feel bad for people that live in places that don't have restaurants and chefs like that.
Yeah.
Because
Yep.
every time it's just like you take a bite and you're like, how are there so many flavors and they all fit together just perfect?
Yeah.
Love
It's
it.
lovely. We're very fortunate to live in a place with a shit ton of I mean, this is a culinary destination in the United States without question.
It's I think it's what makes it so hard to leave. Like, don't want to leave because I don't want to leave the food.
Yeah. I care less about the food, but I get it.
Well, you know how much I care about the food.
I do.
I've been intermittent fasting for a couple weeks now, and my feeding window is from 4 to 8, and
God
here it
damn.
is 6 p.m. I haven't eaten yet.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I am also intermittent fasting, but I only do 14 hours, so I eat between like 11 and 6, whatever that window is, and I usually have a big breakfast around 11, like breakfast brunch type meal, and then I'll work out in the afternoon, and then I'll eat when or eat afterwards, refeed as they say, um, but like not drinking a whole lot, no pre workout or anything, just that first meal with some protein, some fruit, and some honey and like like cream of rice or just some rice, and my head buzzes like like I've had a pre-workout.
Really?
Yeah, it's wild.
Wow. I don't get that. I
I've
work
dialed
out
something
starving.
in. I don't know what it is. I've dialed something in, and I'm not changing. I haven't changed it in like 2 weeks because every time I eat that first meal, I feel great.
It might be diabetes, glycemic index.
That's what it is. I'm actually just. Is that maybe that's why I take those 2 hour naps in there after? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, could be. Could be.
Shit. Supposed to have a work day this weekend. I'm not going to be able to make it, but we got 2 other ones after that. We should probably go and capture some footage. Apparently, they've done a lot of good work with the food plots this year, so we need to capture and try to help out with some of that. I think all the planting is done. We'll do some replanting in the fall, but they had some soil tests done and added some bunch of nutrients and stuff back into the soil, tilled it all up, and then planted. And so apparently everything is coming in really, really good, which should be awesome for this year. And we're getting a lot of. Did I talk to you about the hogs? Did we talk about that?
I saw in the email that they said be careful with the hogs. We should probably go get one if there's that many out there.
Apparently, Bo has been getting pictures of hogs up by the big food plot, just up there with babies. And apparently, there is. He ran into or spoke to one of the owners because somebody, I think Nick or someone, Joe, not Nick, has been seeing a truck go in there that he wasn't familiar with. So we asked the owners, and they hired some guy to go out there and survey the timbered wood and way in the back. And he thinks the reason the hogs are coming so far in is because it's flooded really bad back there. He thinks that there's beavers that have dammed up parts of those tributaries that start the river back there.
Yeah.
It's got them flooded out, and they can't go back to where they usually hang out. So they're coming up and grazing and finding food closer to the road.
Wow.
It might be a good time to go out there and just walk around, see what we can see, and maybe find one of those stands to sit in and pop some hogs.
I'm down for that all day. Yeah, that's good eating, and there's a ton of it on there in one bullet.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially knowing you can take it to Cordray's and be like, bye.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to deal with it.
Dude, they got diseases. I don't want to deal with it either. You're supposed to wear like glasses and gloves and all this stuff. It's not worth it to me.
When you clean them?
Oh yeah, if they splash into your eyes, you can get there's something I can't remember the name of the disease, but
I'm surprised Cordray's even bothers with it, man.
well, they when I worked there, they make you wear goggles and gloves and all that, but I don't think that really does anything. I think you can still get the disease.
Hmm.
I don't know.
What would you make out of it? Just sausage?
Oh yeah, yep. Sausage or burger.
Pork.
I guess it would kind of. Oh, I mean, the only thing that makes it sausage really is sausage seasoning. So it's
I guess so.
using it to be hamburger.
More fat content too, but
Yeah.
you can also like Cordray. You can add fat at Cordray's, which is nice. It's a nice option.
Yeah, put some non-fat pig meat with some cow fat.
I think you can get pork fat there.
No, you can. I'm just saying, take the pig meat and put cow fat.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Blend in some flavors.
Yeah.
See
Why
what you
not?
did there, Chef Matt?
That's what I would do. Chef. Yeah. No. Yeah, we should definitely go check that out. I want to see if we can get a hog.
That'd be fun, or a lot of hogs. I mean, there's no limit on them, so just do it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Now I'm really thinking about it. I think I might try and get out there next week. Yeah.
You should.
Yeah. I'm down with that. All right. Got anything else?
No, man. Nothing. Nothing. This will be out. If you're listening to this, it's Monday. So the next 2 episodes with our guests, we're not sure what order, will be out the next two Mondays. So keep an ear out for that. As always, you can use code podcast, save 20% at whiskeyandwhitetails.com. And like I said, let us know if you think the ChatGPT thing was interesting. We'll, revisit that occasionally and maybe we'll throw the results up on the journal on the website and let you guys take a look at, the results and give some feedback up there as well. It's easy content to post on the blog there.
Yeah, super easy. We can throw that up there. Also, I screwed up in the beginning of this podcast there. So I was looking at, for some reason I thought next week was July. It's not. It's June. So I don't know what today actually national is, but July 3rd will be that, whatever I said. Reduction. They're now at the end.
Redacted.
Okay.
Cool. All righty.
Great. Fun. All right. Thanks everybody for joining. If you're viewing on YouTube, let us know. We see the views, but we don't know who's viewing on. So just leave us a comment. Tell us what you think.
Yeah. And do us a humongous favor. Tell your friends about us, about the show. And if you got a second, go to Spotify and Apple and leave us a rate, give us a review. Greatly appreciate it.
It helps with the numbers. Cool. All right. Cheers. Oh, yeah.
Cheers.